Greetings, greetings, greetings. You are now tuned into the vault. Trust Christian own nothing, control everything. Just want to thank you all for tuning in live, listening to replay. Always appreciate everybody for tuning in live, listening to replay. Definitely want to let you all know we appreciate you. And people have been tuning in for years. People have gone through the trustee training program. And, we're really excited and really thankful. So, this is The Vault, episode 248, Proprietary Research. And this is a very unique episode, because we've talked to trustees throughout the years. We've talked to a lot of people that have, come to the vault and say, oh man, I've never experienced anything like this before. I always wanted to experience something like this. I always wanted to give myself and my family a chance. They finally gave themselves a chance. They gave their family a chance. And now they're playing ball and they're doing what they need to do. So appreciate you all for tuning in live, listening to replay. Want to make an announcement. We actually saw this past week there was an actual article about the famous app that everybody wants to talk about, which is Acorn right now, and Acorn actually being brought up on charges right now for the fact that they've had people lose money in their accounts. So, we definitely wanted to inform people that, when you're dealing with these companies, that, they don't even have a telephone number that you can call. Uh, and people are losing money, you know, people are not too happy about that. People have stories of them putting money in their accounts and it not being funded properly. They've lost money when they made money. Um, these are public info. This is already public information. They've already came out with tons of people saying that there's micro fees when they said that there were no fees, or the fees are minimal. Ladies and gentlemen, we encourage you all to think about this. If you don't pay for a product, supposedly, then you are the product. Bottom line. And this is the issue that we see with these programs that people say, "Oh, we're going to get some free content. We're going to get this free." Ladies and gentlemen, you're actually being researched when you go and you do with these free apps, these free programs. You're being researched. You're being scanned. You're being tracked. A lot of people don't want to believe that. But that's the bottom line. So this is episode 248, Proprietary Research, because if you actually know how this company makes money, particularly Acorn, they make money off selling content. To who? The market makers. The people that take positions against retail traders. Appreciate Mississippi for tuning in live, listening to replay. Always appreciate you. Everybody that tunes in to live or listen to replay from Mississippi, if you all want to type into the chat wherever you're listening in from. But this is an episode not to highlight, that one particular company. We're seeing a bunch of different changes. We're going to go see if we can pull out some more news for you all. We haven't done news in a while. We know a lot of people enjoy the news coming from the vault. And, what the vault brings to the table when it comes to that. You're just seeing a lot of different reports come out right now about these different companies. Um, and, we don't really look at the news in the first place over at the vault. We look at the hardcore numbers. We see the hardcore numbers that comes out every single month. So, that's where the focus should be for you all, is looking at the hard data. Even for the election, if you guys are paying attention to that, looking at the hard data. And that's where your research skills comes in. A lot of people say, well, what is the vault's research that I can't just Google over the internet? Well, first of all, ladies and gentlemen, the vault, Trust Christian, Own Nothing, Control Everything, have been mentored by private mentors, ladies and gentlemen. We've been trained into a thought process. So when you're trained into a thought process, when you're trained into a lifestyle, you're going to get the results that you were trained into. That's why we call it trustee training. It's not trustee teaching. You're not to go through, write some notes in your book and you don't actually embed them in your heart and in your mind and in your soul. It's not for you not to live the lifestyle. It's for you to live the lifestyle. So, when it comes to the proprietary research, one of the things that we really like to point out to people is that, ladies and gentlemen, in research, the vault's information is private. Bottom line, it always has been, always will be. That's what it started out as. It started out as a proprietary research, financial research company, going out and doing research and has put that information together. Not only are we a research institute, we make it a point to train people in the proprietary education. We continue to expand the education. One of the things that we've noticed throughout the years is that people don't trust the systems that they engage in. A lot of times when we look at, even in the public, when you talk about public school system, people don't trust that school system. So why would they trust private trustee training? Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you've what they say, you don't know what you don't know. If you never engaged in a private trust system of training before, or a private training system that teaches trusteeship or trains in trusteeship, you have to stick to the script. You have to go with the mentor and do what the education program is educating you on. So many people say, well, you study for so much longer and this, then the third. Ladies and gentlemen, you're getting what the same thing what we did when we got our education from our mentors. They had 20, 30, 40 years of experience, international trust law, things of that nature. They distilled it down to a year's worth of education. That's what true mentorship is supposed to do. It's supposed to educate you and shorten your learning curve. That's something we have not seen, that not necessarily trustees, but people in general don't understand when they're looking at the vault, is they don't see that you're shortening your learning curve. You're actually not having to go through a lot of the BS that a lot of the senior trustees, a lot of the senior mentors have had to actually put together. As far as their research, ladies and gentlemen, if you're someone that enjoys studying, you will enjoy going through the vault because it's a research platform. It continues to expand its education. We see so many people go through the program and they say, well, I expanded out, I left the nest early. But ladies and gentlemen, who is the leader? If the leader is out furthering the education, there's nothing wrong with following in the mentor's footsteps. Why? Because at least the mentor took the upfront cost, opportunity cost loss, and the actual cost itself. But ladies and gentlemen, we've seen so many people go through different programs and even come through this program with trustee training, and they don't understand fully and comprehend what proprietary research is. It's one of those things when you get in front of a public lawyer and you get in front of a public accountant and they can't tell you anything about a private trust situation. That's how you know you engaged in proprietary research, by engaging with the vault. But when you engage with the vault and you engage in that information, it's important for you to stick with the information so you can move forward. Why? Because it's proprietary. It's when you go buy a Apple phone or a Samsung phone, there's certain elements of that phone that make certain parts of it proprietary. That means if you took it out, it would actually be illegal to put it in another phone, because that product or service was only made for that entity. That's where we are, ladies and gentlemen, at the vault. We're that proprietary thing when it comes to training and research. So when people have questions, ex-trustees, trustees that are currently going through, feel free to reach out. Why? Because the education is ever expanding. We were just thinking about, before we did this episode, how we're doing our first capital raising workshop in 2021. We already have it planned out for March or late February. Our first capital raising workshop. We usually don't do capital raising workshops for the public. We usually do capital raising workshops for just trustees alone. We're doing capital raising workshops open to the public because that's the issue. So many people say they can't afford the proprietary education sometimes. Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you can't come up with the capital that's necessary to invest in your private education, You got to learn how to raise capital. That's public side information. That's not private side information. Learning how to raise capital is public side information. That means you have to go from the employee thought process to a trustee or an investor or entrepreneur's thought process. And that's not utilizing money that you saved up from your job. It's actually going out and raising capital. So we've actually already planned our first capital raising workshop. We know some people we know quite a few people. We actually did a capital raising workshop privately for trustees here about a few weeks ago. And boy, have so many trustees gotten value out of that relationship. Ladies and gentlemen, when we talk about proprietary information, how do you get a relationship with a private ex-banker? Where do you get that education from nowadays in the United States? And when we talk about private banker, we're talking about private bankers, ladies and gentlemen. We're not talking about the public bankers that you walk in and they're sitting on your teleline or they're sitting inside of the bank. We're talking about the ones that help out elite people hide their money internationally. That's what we're talking about at the vault. Well, we are giving access to those individuals because they're on the public side. They still have their privacy. They're able to maintain it. So we're going to do the capital raising workshop first part of next year, first quarter. So it gives people about 4 to 5 to 6 months to plan out for that event. It's either early March, late February that we're going to do that. That's proprietary research, ladies and gentlemen. That comes from building that relationship in the private sector and then wanting to come out and actually share that information. We've had trustees that have gone through that capital raising course and that are already raising capital for their own private bank. Not a private family bank, an actual bank, ladies and gentlemen. Because that's what private bankers do. They build banks privately. They know how to do this. Through bonds, through certificates, the things that people want to come to the vault and ask them about their birth certificate. Well, there are bonds that people know how to build banks on. So part of that proprietary research is not just, trustee training. It's about capital raising. It's the 4 elements of trusteeship, of learning how to protect the asset. See, when people get in trustee training, they're learning the first element, which is protection. That's part of the proprietary research. How do you truly protect your family position? How do you truly do that? How do you protect yourself from being sued out of assets? How do you put yourself in a position where even though they accused Donald Trump of evading taxes, clearly that didn't stick? That's something you actually go to jail for, ladies and gentlemen. Was it just an allegation thrown out there to quiet the natives real quick? Or was it an actual true legitimate law argument that they could win a court case on? They couldn't. That's why I just kept going across the media stream. Because anybody can slander you. They've been trying to slander him for years about evading taxes. Or him paying a low amount of taxes. He doesn't pay taxes at all. How about that? He had no problem with saying that in the first debate with Hillary. He has no problem with saying that he's taking advantage of the tax code. He has no problem with saying that he actually knows the tax code. But people want to throw out slander. That's part of proprietary research. He doesn't tell you how he's doing it. He tells you that he's done proprietary research. Well, that's what we do at the vault. We do that proprietary research for our trustees. But ladies and gentlemen, you got to pay to play. There is no free lunch. Not in adult society. So proprietary research is something that's very, very important that the vault is going to continue to push forward. But we don't want to make any empty promises that we're going to continue to push the research forever. That's not the case. Because so many people have looked at the vault for years and they said, well, Trust Christian, what do you guys do at the vault with the trusteeship? What do you guys do with it? Ladies and gentlemen, we created a training program. The training program is so good that trustees get, what they ask for. They get privacy. They get minimization in certain areas. That's what they get. They get access to proprietary information and proprietary relationships. Private sector knowledge. And it's not an arm and a leg for cost. But it is something that says you have to pay to play. Ladies and gentlemen, the proprietary research looks like not just the hours in the law library. It looks like investing in those relationships where we're sitting in a room with billionaires and the market makers. Remember, the market makers, these are the people that take retail traders' money. That's who takes retail traders' money. It's hedge funds, it's banks, prop traders. They take retail traders' money. Proprietary research has educated us on that point because we sit around the market makers and they tell us what they're going to do in the market. They tell us where they see the market going. That means they tell you where the market's going because they have bigger bank. And they point out, well, we don't really see a lot of demand here, or we don't see a lot of supply here. They focus on those terms. They have specific words that they're using to run people's lives. Supply and demand. Supply and demand runs everybody's life, ladies and gentlemen. Prices. See, ladies and gentlemen, when you get into proprietary research, we narrow your focus. See, right now, everybody wants to be a trustee, but when you go through trustee training, we narrow your focus on what's important, the buzzwords, the language of trusteeship. Specifically, what are the specific words that you need to know in trusteeship? What are the specific words? Well, we get people that reach out and think they're fancy. Oh, Trust Christian, I want to get in this type of trust, and I want to go in this type of trust. And then guess what? When it's time for the consultation, when do we hear back from them? But you're ready. You're ready, but you didn't invest. See, when you're in proprietary research mode, you know that nothing's free. Nothing is free. Internet is not free. You have to invest. Proprietary research puts you in the mode of not just grabbing crumbs off of someone's table. It's actually investing in relationships. It's having your face seen. It's having your highs and your buys acknowledged by shaking people's hands, by being in the same presence as billionaires and millionaires and asset managers. Someone said this past week. They say, well, where do I need to go to get around these individuals? Do you go to high net worth individual environments? That's where they are. Are you going to invest in those rooms? Are you going to go in there unprotected? Just because they have LLC in their title of their investment capital fund, you think that that's how they're really handling their business? Not knowing that LLC can be in the title of a trust? That's what proprietary research does. It puts you in the mode of knowing how people can throw us smoke and mirrors. How people can create their tax returns in less than a month. That's what all the presidential candidates do. They share with you, oh, this is what we did in taxes. Ladies and gentlemen, none of these people are dealing with that. At any moment, you can sue a public servant. They're not going to be put in that position. Proprietary research educates you on that. Proprietary research tells you, why would you deal with a party that doesn't want to give you full non-disclosure? See, some parties are about letting you know they're for capitalism, they're for business, they're for low taxes. And then some other parties, they want to tell you everything that you want to hear. See, when you come to the vault, you don't get what you want to hear, you get what you paid for. You get what you asked for. The proprietary research. We don't construe or misconstrue process and personality at the vault. We've had mentors tell us in trustee training to quit. Does that mean you're going to quit? Oh, I don't like the way Trust Christian says that, so I'm not going to continue with the program. Right. Trust Christian is a little harsh on us. Right. But the proprietary research, what did you come for? Did you come for Trust Christian's tone of voice? Did you come for Trust Christian's personality? Did you like the fact that he was consistent with the message, or did you come for the proprietary research? Because if you're coming to invest in the proprietary research, that's what you're going to get. But some people, they don't want proprietary information. They want public general information. They want public school education. Oh, really? Poor people education. How many people do you know are financially independent from just a public school education? Type it into the chat. For all you all that are listening in the chat, you can listen to replay. We'll see it. People will see it in history. How many people do you know that are financially independent through public school education alone? Ladies and gentlemen, guess what? In the private sector, everybody we associate with, they're independently wealthy. Some of them have public school education, but all of them have a private education. That's why they're in the private. See, there's a high chance of you being successful financially when you invest in your proprietary research, proprietary education. There's a high chance of degree of success. But some people want to be in the public. They want to deal with the general information. But what information are you really getting that's changing your lives? We put people in position where they are practicing private family banking economics. It is one of the most powerful concepts that why would they not teach it in public school? It's a public entity. It's a public situation. But guess what? We meet insurance guys or ladies on the public side that can't even do it correctly because they weren't given the private education. We tell trustees that guess what? There are less than 500 people in the United States that can implement private family banking. But we get people to type into the chat. We get people that type in, that contact the vault. Hey man, I'm implementing private family banking. Why? You don't even have, ladies and gentlemen, you don't even want to know that there's less than 500 people in the United States. We sit in the room with people that they are one-of-ones. It's not too many of them. So when people talk about they're unique, you're not. Private family banking is one of the most important things you can ever do. And every time we practice it, we thank our lucky stars. It was one of the most misunderstood things through trustee training that we went through in the beginning. But once we got the fact that the first step is protecting it. What's the second step, ladies and gentlemen? It's preservation. That's private family banking. And this is what happens. People literally go from protection and they go to growth. They skip over preserving their dollars. Why? Because they're so used to spending money. They're never used to invest in money. They're never used to paying themselves first and learning how to borrow a lender's money. Who is the largest lending institution in the world? Insurance companies. But people still want to go to the banks. That's why you can't practice private family banking, because you have to invest in the proprietary research to learn how to practice private family banking properly. Not just listen to the vault, get a little bit of crumbs, and you're good to go. I'm going to Google private family banking today. Sure. But how are you going to find the right people to do it? How do you even know what the right person looks like? Once you get the consultation, at least find out when you go start interviewing people, if you're going to stay out of the vault and you're going to interview people, at least find out how much percentage the vault's people are going to take as opposed to your people that you're going to interview are going to take. Because most agents on the outside, they know that most people aren't going to stick with those type of policies. Why? Because you have to pay yourself first. How many people are doing that? People say, I don't understand that concept. How do I pay myself first, and then I still get lended money? Well, guess what? That's what the agents share with you. And that's what we do at the vault. We put you in contact with the right people. People say, oh no, there's no way it could be that good. Well, how good is your public school education? How good is that? We already know it's the best. We got imitators coming out here. Oh, we have imitators, don't worry. We got people that think that they could be trust Christian. Don't worry, they are. They're sitting out here talking about, hey, we're going to start a trustee training program. Ladies and gentlemen, they've literally copied the same welcome to. Instead of it welcome to the vault, they got it welcome to something else. Who was welcome to the vault first? Who was the vault first? Huh? And then they want to put their company name in parentheses in the beginning. That's a trademark, ladies and gentlemen. These fraudsters, these jokesters. Then they want to put up, oh, Trust Christian, we're gonna outwork Trust Christian. No, you're not, because we live this. Yes, we're expanding our resources for our trustees. Many trustees have gone through, they don't even have access to the resources that are available now because the resources have been updated. Things have changed. It's 2020, right? The private sector hasn't changed, but the resources in the private sectors, people are updating processes in the private sector. Private sector is not losing any money. Haven't lost any money throughout this entire year. The public sector lost money. That comes from proprietary research. You could bank on Trust Christian in the vault for your proprietary research, for your mentorship. Some trustees recently said, yeah, I was going through the program and I really wanted to know that we were going to be mentored directly by you, Trust Christian. I was like, well, I mean, you're going to get access to other resources. We do the trust training. There's still other resources that we got private family bankers. We have asset managers. We have securities agents. It's a whole educational system. Hold on. But the rest of these fakesters on the internet, they want to do the all-in-one opportunity. See, Trust Christian already know. It's not about how strong you are. We'll put our team up against anybody's any day. That's why we're going to do the credit workshop. It's not a credit workshop, it's a capital raising workshop. Capital raising workshop. Because so many people are focused on credit, but it's not about your credit. It's about raising capital. You got to know how to raise capital, publicly and privately. It deals with credit, but what happens when you don't have to put up any money? And all you're doing is connecting people with relationships. When you become a center of influence at banking institutions. That's what the proprietary research gives you. It allows you to become a center of influence at banking institutions. We have those trustees in position. We'll put our trustees and our education up against any education any day. Because we understand how important it is to train people, to be hard on you, to make sure that you know the facts as opposed to Trust Christian's, opinions. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, this doesn't need to be a long-winded episode. Proprietary education is like paying for anything that's proprietary. We're going to continue to do the research, so it's private. We're not going to release it to the public. You all seen that Trust Christian the vault actually is taking down episodes. They're going to continue doing that. Why? Because we're going to say, if you want to be around the environment, you have to invest in your private education. Not sit around and say, well, I want to get free game. The culture of free game is dead. See, Trust Christian the vault is not looking to make you be the product. You're investing to obtain the product. That's the difference. Someone types into the chat, what can be expected from the private education? We've gone through that the entire episode so far. It's research. It's education that you will not get in the public. So if you don't invest, you won't get it. You're not willing to take a risk on yourself? But hold up. You're willing to keep going around free information sources and not getting anything. We don't need to ask any trustees to type into the chat right now. We don't. We know they listen. But one thing they got was something they never got even listening to the YouTube channel. They got access to the private library. There's a private library. There's private educational 101s. The name of the episode is Proprietary Research. That's what you can expect from the private education. Are you waiting for free game, or are you going to invest in yourself? Are you going to take a risk in yourself, or are you going to sit around and say, I wonder when is it ever going to be given for free? I wonder how much longer I can go without investing in myself. You're not doing Trust Christian and the Vault any favors. You're doing yourself an advantage. You're giving yourself a position to win. How do you do that? You got to invest in the education. Bottom line. There's no way around it. Some people say, I tried to, we've had trustees come and say, I Googled trustee trading Trust Christian and the Vault, and I saw some other countries doing it, but I didn't really see any other people that were really doing it on the internet. Ladies and gentlemen, the Vault knows what position it holds. We're at the top of the mountain. We know that we hold the banner for trusteeship, trustee training. We do trustee training workshops in the States and abroad. We do those workshops. How many of those educational platforms that you see on the internet are doing workshops? You have to get around other trustees. Ladies and gentlemen, for anybody that's typing into the chat, how much does the trustee training cost? You can send a private inquiry to Christian@trustchristian.com. You'll get a response. The response is going to be to get a consultation. If you don't have enough to get the consultation, you definitely can say you can't afford the education. Bottom line, somebody can sit here and say, well, Trust Christian, I just really got to know. Ladies and gentlemen, we deal with multimillionaires and billionaires. If they're not willing to get a consultation, they don't get the education price. What makes you think you're any different because you're on YouTube? Oh, Trust Christian, I just really want to know so I can save up over the next 3 to 4 months, over the next year, over the next 2 years. I've been listening to you for about 2 years now. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, why don't you guys do JVs, joint ventures, and partnerships with your friends and family and get going? Somebody said, how long is the education? It's a continuing education program. It's a continuing education program. We've acknowledged people typing into the chat, but their questions have just gotten dumber and dumber. Some people say, damn, Trust Christian, what do you mean? How could you say some questions got dumb? Ladies and gentlemen, look, if you're not going to pay to play, get off the channel. Oh, wow, Trust Christian is telling us not to stay on the channel. Ladies and gentlemen, Trust Christian has been doing this Vault's been doing this for over 5 years. Okay? You've never heard a price go across the channel one time. You've never heard any of that over the channel one time. So if you haven't listened to the episodes and heard that yet, you're asking dumb questions right now. And we have no problem with telling you that. Some people say, oh man, Trust Christian, I can't believe that, it's like that. How are we going to be able to engage with you, but you're not able to answer certain things? Ladies and gentlemen, this is as much free time as you're going to get from the Vault. And it's enough for people to say that they're willing to invest in their private education, but you're not. You're not special. That's how you know you're not special. Because you're not willing to invest. There are people listening in right now that have invested. How are you different than them? You're not. People chose to invest in proprietary research. If you're willing to do that, we look forward to hearing from you. If you don't, keep getting what you got out of life. Guess what? Trusteeship's not for everybody. We used to think that it was. We used to think entrepreneurship was for everybody. It's not for everybody. You want to know why? Because you're going to lie to yourself. The proprietary research doesn't allow you to lie to yourself. You have to look at the hard facts now. The hard facts is that, guess what? The hard facts is that when you look at the numbers, your chances of making it when you get in trusteeship go up exponentially. Bottom line, not only that, your chances of you being wealthy and being around the right people go up exponentially. But you're still a part of the 1%, the 5% that makes it in life. So once you get in trustee training, you've graduated to the bottom 4% of the 1%, which is great. You have the tools, the proprietary education that people have an advantage on you to win. Appreciate New Jersey City for tuning in live, listening to replay. Now that you have the tools to win, all you got to do is do right by the tools and not abuse them, and you'll win. What's the 4 keys? You got to get protection. Right? Right. How are you protected in the public entity still? You're not. There's some slight protection. Some people say it's limited liability. Some people say C Corp protects it. Okay. But after you're protected, did you get more proprietary research on protection? Because after protection, we go to preservation. That deals with preserving every dollar that's depreciating through inflation. Prices have gone up. So, you get protection, you get preservation. Well, now we get the exponential growth. How can Jeff Bezos build generational wealth in one lifetime when he had a public education? Bill Gates had a public education. How do you do that? Guess what? They're like Donald Trump. They know the tax code better than anybody. They've invested in their private education. Bottom line, they've invested in their private education. They knew that, hey, we're about to build some wealth. We need to protect ourselves. We actually need to get some other relationships involved so they can help us protect and preserve the money. And now we can exponentially grow. Did you know that Amazon stock went down before it kept going up? It went up and it went down. And it went back to where it's at now, growing. Appreciate OKC for tuning in live. So, what does it look like when you got that exponential growth? Well, look at the public examples. Appreciate Brooklyn for tuning in live, tuning in replay. So you get that growth going, ladies and gentlemen. The growth is exponentially exciting because that's why we're doing the capital raising. Sometimes the capital raising can be putting the cart before the horse, but we also know that you can capital raise on the public side just as much as you can capital raise on the private side. Capital raising is universal. That's why we're able to do the workshop next year, first quarter, because in the public, because that's just the simplest and easiest route to go. Simple as that. But what happened to the last step? Did we get to passing it along tax free? Do you hear all the greats say, I'm not going to give wealth to my children? That will put them in a tax liable position. We get people that contact us through consultations. We talk to them. Here they go. They contact us. They listening in through the vault. They say, Trust Christian, my accountant put me inside of this trust. They got me all squared away. So why are you coming to the vault? Let's clear that up first. Oh, because they didn't explain everything to you. Because they didn't give you all the jewels and the gems. Because they wanted to be a con artist and rip you off. Okay, let's move past the fact that they did that. So after they did that, why would they make your family the beneficiaries and almost make you the beneficiary? So, are you aware that there's public and private trust? Because that's what the vault deals with. Proprietary research, which is private trusteeship. It's private trustee training. It's not public. That's why you came to the vault. Are you going to do the investment in your private education to learn the difference between public and private? Just that one education alone will change your life. Why? Because you'll never look at things with a jaded view. Here we go. You get to passing it along tax free. Think about how much of your wealth is going to be. Start doing inquiries with these probate lawyers. Go ahead. Find out how much is going to be taken. These public estate planners. Let them answer how much wealth is going to be eroded via the way that they're going to do it, and come to the vault. And what do we say? You're supposed to pass it along tax free. It's no other way to talk about it. But when you go into public without proprietary research, they share with you everything but the truth. See, we talk about the truth at the vault. You don't have to own anything, but you can control it. Because when you own something, you can be taxed and sued out of it. And why would you give it to your family members so they can be taxed or sued out of it? But hey, we appreciate you all for tuning in live, listening to replay. Feel free to type any questions into the chat that has to deal with the proprietary research, private trustee training, Christian at trustchristian.com if you all want to reach out. Once again, Christian at trustchristian if you all want to reach out. I'm going to sit on here for a couple more questions. Appreciate everybody for tuning in live. It's been an excellent year. If you all seen the stock market, it's recovered. So there is no recession talk. You know, they talked about recession. We're getting ready to go into, we got one more month before we go into the largest, move that the market is really going to make is based off of this election. There's some catalysts coming up. Ladies and gentlemen, America has definitely been made great again. They have industries that are growing stronger. And after this, they will grow even stronger because they focused at making sure monetary policy at home is great. Not focusing on foreign policy, trying to police other countries. Those days are over for right now. Appreciate everybody for tuning in live, listening to replay. Feel free to reach out, Christian at trustchristian.com for consultations, trustee training. Look forward to hearing from you all. Peace.